Well, good morning and welcome to Breakfast Extra for a Saturday edition. And of course, my name is Mazino Appeal. Now, something happened to me over the past week. I saw a video which I'll make a reference to later. And for some reason, that video stayed with me longer than I expected. And it wasn't because it was dramatic or scandalous, but because it actually reminded me of something deeply human. Something uncomfortable, something we'll discuss today. Something all of us are quietly moving toward, whether we admit it or not. See, last year I lost someone who was very dear to me, one of the wisest men I had ever known, the kind of man you called when life needed perspective. And he always had it. He always had clarity. He always had the right words. He was full of wisdom. But as he got older, something began to change. The wisdom was still there. The mind was still sharp in many ways. But the thoughts were still powerful, but it was the bridge between thought and expression that started to weaken. You would sit with him and realize he knew exactly what he wanted to say. The problem was no longer thinking about it, it was getting it out. Sometimes you had to actually gently walk him to his own conclusion. And not because he was losing intelligence, but because age had begun to do what age does, quietly thinning out that speed between thought and speech. And science actually explains this. As people grow older, the brain naturally slows in processing speed. Speech can become less fluid, word retrieval takes longer, ideas remain intact internally, but the ability to organize, compress, and express them in real time can begin to soften. And neurologists often refer to it as cognitive slowing. And it's not always illness or dementia, no. Sometimes it's simple just time doing what time always does, quietly reminding the body that it is not permanent. And it happens to everybody eventually. It happens to professors, to fathers, to leaders. It happens to all of us if we're blessed with the gift of long life. And that thought stayed with me because later in the week was when I saw this video, this moment that felt, well, almost unrelated, but somehow connected. It was a very strong video. Before I get to it, let me say, Happy Eid Mubarak to Muslim faithfuls across Nigeria and around the world, which, funny enough, coincided with Children's Day this year. But it's quite a difficult celebration for many families because while prayers were ongoing and rams were being slaughtered, some parents were still waiting for their children to come home. And as we speak, dozens of children kidnapped from their classrooms in Oyo State remain in captivity, which means somewhere in the country tonight, their parents are going to have one eye on the gates and another one on the phone, still expectant. Then, on Wednesday, and this is where I referenced that video from the beginning, after Eid prayers at Dodon Barracks here in Lagos, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was asked about insecurity in Nigeria. Reporters shoved microphones in his face, and they asked him a direct question about state of the country. And he responded like this. He said, "That is the law. Obedience to law, nowhere in the holy teaching is there banditry, nowhere is there killing. The sacrifice we are talking about here today, even in the beginning, a child was replaced with an animal." It sounded incoherent, and immediately many Nigerians, well, they say that they didn't understand it. Social media went crazy as it always does. It reacted fast. Some mocked it, some people dismissed it, some people simply just asked, what exactly is the president saying? But stripped of the delivery, the reference was quite clear. The president was making a religious reference. He was talking about the story of Abraham and Isaac and about sacrifice, about how, according to the holy teaching, Abraham's child was eventually replaced with a ram by God to stop him from sacrificing his only son, Isaac. It was a test. His point, at least from what a few people could gather, was about the sanctity and value of human life. That nowhere in religious teaching is murder or banditry justified. That was the message. But the delivery, well, that struggled to carry it. And maybe that is where the real conversation sits. Because if you remember in the 1990s, you remember a totally different Bola Ahmed Tinubu, a man widely known for the command of language, for rhythm, for sharp political expression. He could take a complex idea and actually land it with so much force. And whether you agreed with him or not, communication was never his problem. It was not the issue. So when people saw that clip on Wednesday, many were not just reacting to the sentence or lack of coherence, they were reacting to contrast. The difference between memory and present reality, between speaker they once knew and the speaker that they hear now today. And it raises a difficult but very necessary question. In a country already dealing with insecurity, economic pressure, and public fatigue, leadership communication is not decoration, it is infrastructure. It is how people understand decision. It is how confidence is built or lost. And when clarity begins to feel inconsistent, citizens naturally begin to wonder not just what is being said, but how steady the voice of leadership really is. So it's not an attack, it's actually a democratic question. It's a question about function. And there is also room for something else. There's room for empathy. Because aging is one election nobody escapes. Time defeats everybody eventually. The activist becomes the elder, the orator becomes slower, the sharp mind pauses longer than it used to. And maybe the saddest part of growing old is that somewhere inside you, you're still your younger version of yourself. Still running, you're still clear, you're still powerful, but your body can no longer translate the spirit at the same speed. And perhaps that's the quiet truth behind all of this. This moment is not only about politics, communication, or public reaction, it is also about time. And time eventually has, well, its way of humbling every single voice. Ladies and gentlemen, do with that information what you may. It's been said. My name is Mazino Pale. This is Breakfast Extra. Of course, I'm not alone, never alone. There's one of two beautiful ladies who are always here with me. And today, it's Queen Celestine. You are welcome back from, where did you go?
I just took a break.
To where? Exactly. Anyhow, welcome back. We missed you 2 weeks with Inam, was great, but hey, we always prefer this sunshine every single Saturday and Sunday.
Oh, thank you.
I know.
Mazino. Amazing monologue. Don't worry, I'm sure whatever happens when you get older, you remember my name.
I will remember your face.
You will remember. Well, it's an amazing monologue. A lot of people need to figure out that, of course, we cannot dodge old age. It's coming, it's in front of us, just the same way we cannot dodge elections in 2027. But yeah, amazing. Thank you, Mazino.
Food for thought. Thank you very much. Stay with us. This is the beginning. We've got so many conversations to come. We'll be right back.
Good morning and welcome again to Breakfast Extra. I am Queen Celestine. And this morning, we'll take a closer look at President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's 3 years in office, from fuel subsidy removal to the floating of the naira. The administration says difficult reforms were necessary to stabilize Nigeria's economy. But with inflation still high and living costs rising, many Nigerians continue asking when relief will truly come. Today, we examine the promises, the policies, and the reality of governance. Also on the program, conversations around political party primaries and internal democracy are beginning to gather momentum ahead of the next election cycle. We look at the state of smaller political parties, coalition talks, grassroots engagement, and whether Nigerians are beginning to search seriously for alternatives outside the dominant political structure. Then later, we discuss growing security concerns across the country, particularly renewed fears around ISWAP activities and the evolving use of technology in modern terrorism. As insecurity changes in nature, many are asking whether Nigeria's response is adapting quickly enough to meet the challenge. Plus, as the world marks the International Day of Potato, I say fries, we explore how one simple crop could play a major role in Nigeria's food security future, economic growth, and agricultural sustainability. And in our big report, we head to Kano, where security concerns have forced the suspension of this year's Eid Durbar processions amid continuing tensions surrounding the emirship structure in the state. It promises to be insightful, reflective, and deeply connected to the realities shaping Nigeria today. But before we dive into all of that and dailies...
Let's have a little talk about potatoes.
I just know that you're going to come for me.
Okay, so my first degree is in botany.
Okay.
So I studied plants a lot, and I know a lot about cash crops. Potatoes are Nigeria's third biggest, I think, cash crop, if I'm not mistaken, next to rice and wheat. Exactly. So to think that we have a gold mine in front of us that we are not exploiting is a big deal. But then again, how can you exploit it with everything that's going on? Where do they grow potatoes the most in Nigeria? Now I'm trying to think.
There's Plateau, and I'm not sure if it's Kano.
Yeah, Plateau State. And I've been to Plateau State. I was there last year.
Me too, yay.
It's a fantastic place to grow crop. They've got all different kinds of fruit, especially strawberries. I was so excited when I saw strawberries.
Yeah, their climate is actually good for a lot of things.
Their apples are
juicy.
Juicy. And their potatoes are lovely, especially in Benue as well. They're like the size of heads. But you can make all these all you want. But the problem is transporting them down to Lagos and across Nigeria.
Yes.
It's also whether they have enough fertilizers or can even... transportation is one of the biggest issues. And then in Benue, it's insecurity. And it's so sad because you can make much, much, much more from these crops and rely less on other, what's it called? Maybe it's potatoes they should be sharing during elections.
Well, and not noodles and things. But again, I feel like these conversations need to be hard. So people, because most times when you say Nigeria, everybody just feels like all our money comes from oil and gas. But there's so many things, ginger, there's so many things we can do where we
There's
make
rice
money.
and lokoja, which we are not taking advantage of.
Exactly. There's cocoa.
But they are taking advantage of
rice.
There's
kai kai.
Okay. I say potato, you say
go.
patata. Oh, by the way, we're matching today.
We are.
It's very nice to look at us on screen there. That's beautiful. All right, before we get carried away, let's get started with the show. Welcome to Breakfast Extra once again.
Well, it was supposed to be Mazino, but hey, we're back. We're supposed to do the dailies now.
Yes.
Mazino, should I start first?
Please go ahead. What daily are we starting with?
Let's start with the Saturday Times.
Grand.
Of course, the Saturday Times, right at the top, it says, PDP showdown looms in Abuja as Turaki faction vows to resist weakest threat to stop Jonathan. And below it, it says, FCT minister threatens to shut down event centers hosting illegal gatherings. I wonder what they are. Will resist attempt to intimidate us, says a spokesperson. And NWC urges Jonathan to reject presidential ticket. Now, before I go forward, FG borrowing hits 11.89 trillion naira as capital spending suffers. And of course, I don't need to tell you there's direct flights to Accra.
Yeah, let's leave that out of it.
Leave that out.
I'm still not over the very first headline you read about the Turkey-led faction of the PDP resisting weakest threat to stop Jonathan. Is it everybody? Now Jonathan versus weak?
See, I told you before from the beginning, this whole coalition, it feels like a marriage fight, a divorce about to happen.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, it's giving petty and childish.
If you want to call it that, I'll tell you something. How different are any of the new parties, whether the NDC or the ADC? Because you still have these big names moving over. Eventually becomes a fight of egos, just as it is from every other old party. I have my eyes keen on NDC especially.
Is it not you?
Because that's where all the attention is at now.
Yes.
I see the ADC as while it's not big on grassroots, it is big on social media. But now that you've taken out the Obi factor, is it still going to be that movement that is big on social media like from before, like from when you had Obi? Now he's gone to the NDC. What's the theme? What's the general theme going to be? Is it grassroots social media or what else?
You're right.
Is it still going to be youth-oriented, or is it now elite politics and politicians who are just simply coming together to, our big names are making another big party?
We've sat down here a few weeks ago when we're talking about all the, the big names that went to the ADC. And then all of a sudden we saw the Obedient move to NDC. So the question for me there was it about us against President Bola Ahmed Tinubu or us coming to fight for Nigerians.
Well, the latter was it.
Exactly.
However, you can't do that without a great structure with the ADC.
Because now Peter Obi has moved to NDC and then Atuki has won the presidential ticket. And then the other two people are saying it was rigged. But few weeks ago, you all was together and holding hands. So it's a bit confusing. But yeah, let's move on.
Sorry, guys. Let's move on to the next daily.
But right on top of that, I think we have, they talked about Oju Day, but I think that's a conversation we'll have tomorrow. Mazino, what's our next paper?
Let's see now. It's the Telegraph. Let's take a look at the Saturday Telegraph. And the Saturday Telegraph has this headline. I'll rush through it. Oyo Akpodokun interview. Democracy won't work until Nigerians organize to defend it. This is true. Carpets anti-June 12 elements now posturing as Democrats insist state police won't succeed. Nigeria needs total security architecture overhaul. Hear, hear. Says Nigeria suffering from prolonged military rule, militarization of politics. Not far from the truth, my opinion. At the very top, Ade loves daughter. My father knew early in life that theatre was his pathway to success. I can't read the fine print. My glasses are wearing out. Says, we, his children, are making strong strides in the industry. Congratulations. 2027, next to a picture of Amukita, their Nigerians bemoan conduct of parties' primaries. What has the man got to do with it? It's internal. It's They say, what we witnessed was gross violation of informal democracy. Internal democracy, says Oresanwo. The print is very fine. Sorry, guys, my glasses aren't the best. At the bottom here, we get to event centers, hotels. Deny unrecognized factions of party access to facilities. Yo. They pay money. We take it. What you do in it is your business. Now my hotel is at risk if I allow a political party have a
remember
forum.
there was a situation a few weeks ago where one of the owners of an event center came out to say they did not get any directives. Now we're getting directives.
Now you're getting directive. If it's not, I'm not saying this is what he's saying, but if it's seeming like if it's
follow
not this party, don't you dare. Otherwise, you come under the, It continues here. Jonathan's ratification as PDP candidate in jeopardy. Our convention holds as scheduled, says Turaki faction. Oh dear, I'm so sorry for the hotel or the venue that's going to be used. But let's see now. This is interesting. I love it. 15 days in forest. Baptist convention laments students' teachers' abduction in Oyo. APC blames Makinde for surge in insecurity. The blame game. CBN extends enforcement of POS geofence into August 1st. I'm not too averse with that. I haven't really taken in that story. So at the bottom, Tinubu launches 145 tricycles, 6 boats, ambulances to improve emergency healthcare services. And Abuja CNG hub begins operation, targets 1,000 vehicles daily. Let's see that help the energy situation we have ongoing.
No.
What you got now?
Well, let's do the Saturday Independent, shall we?
Good. Go ahead.
Right there, the vanishing Salaram.
Wait. Don't take the headline yet. I only had one piece. One piece.
It has vanished.
It is gone.
It has vanished. Inflation, insecurity pushed Muslim families away from Eid celebrations. And then there's a beautiful picture of a ram.
Of a very beautiful ram that was not eaten.
Very healthy. He wasn't eaten.
Very healthy.
Right below, churches running out of patience over insecurity, says Baptist Convention president. And of course, Tinubu unveils 145 tricycles, 6 boat ambulances to tackle emergency healthcare gaps nationwide. You find that on page 3. And underneath his picture, school kidnappings, education now a risky venture. And of course, there's a beautiful picture of Mercy Aigbe unfiltered. She says, your social media handle is your CV. Stop using it to troll celebrities and build your brand instead.
I absolutely agree.
Meaning, don't be a big guru. Focus on your focus.
I absolutely agree. If you came to me for a job these days, the first thing I ask for is, what's your Instagram handle? I'm old school, so TikTok is lost on me.
Me too.
Oh.
I can't deal. I
can't
don't even know a thing about it.
Yeah, I know, right? It's weird. We'll get the hang of it. But yes, I agree with her on that.
Yes.
It is your CV.
And on the red line, Red Like News Central, the tragedy of Nigeria's Ashwebi Taylor. Story of fabric, faith, and fasting. You will fast because when they give you bill for those beatings,
Yeah, so are people running away? People are no longer sewing? Or
No, I feel like these days, the way we take our fashion, sometimes people dress more than the groom and the bride for the wedding. So, yeah, our fashion is something else. And right at the top on green, Nigeria battles rising Lassa fever crisis as death toll hits 204. Young adults mostly vulnerable. And petrol price jumps nearly 19% in April as average cost hits 1,532 liters. Dear MD, please have a review.
So that's a consideration I had to take.
Yes.
I had scheduled a trip for the middle of this month, but looking at petrol prices, that will cost a whole lot to get me between here and my destination.
You'll figure it out.
I will. I
trust-
will
I
beg
trust
for
that
donations and support and partnerships is what I'm going to do. Okay, are you done with that one?
Yes, I am.
I'm going to move now to the Saturday Sun. For the Saturday Sun, we'll try and keep it quick. 3-year scorecard knocks kudos for Tinubu. It's been hunger, insecurity, failed promises. Atiku Thief Group, Northern Christians, Igbo Group say presidency has laid foundation for prosperity. Arawa think tank, others say, and reforms necessary but coming with hardship, insecurity, democratic strain, says the CSOs. This is my position on the issues that Nigeria seems to be going through. I also think there's something that is missing, and that is communication.
Yeah.
We sat with economists yesterday as we looked at the 3-year in office celebration that we had here for the Tinubu administration, and we asked these economists about the reforms that were taken, the fiscal ones, the FX stabilization, fuel subsidy removal, and they all agreed that it was fair. We had to do that to avoid a breakdown in the future. But maybe the way it was rushed, especially the way it was communicated, and the timeline was what was not to the advantage of the entire process. Because inflation has come down, that's good, but cost of living is still high. So it's like, while this got better, this got worse. Whether you like it or not, you're still paying more than you were before, even if your salaries might have increased. So it's like, it kind of like balanced out. So was it worth it?
We'll find out.
Yes, it was. But how it was executed is the issue.
Yeah.
It's the issue.
I agree.
And there's more here. Oyo abduction, negotiate with kidnappers, abducted principal begs Tinubu Makinde. Did you see the heartbreaking video of the principal yesterday? Another video.
No, I run away from videos like that.
She pleaded for the government to please resort to negotiation so that their lives are not further at risk. They said, please, negotiation, not force. Let's see, at the very top for the Saturday Sun, real quick, we need governor's approval to fight bandits, says Gani Adams. Tinubu fuel subsidy removal averted Nigeria's bankruptcy. See? Talked about that. And 15-year-old goes missing at Umuahia Estate. There's a picture of her there, so please make sure if you have any information that you reach out to contacts that I'm sure are mentioned inside of the article.
Thank you. I think we'll have the Saturday Tribune next, please.
All right.
Perfect. Kidnappings. Bag used to deliver ransom found in Syracuse Fulani's kitchen.
Syracuse Fulani's kitchen. I think that's a
restaurant?
No. It might be a group. I'm going to have to check that. Why don't you do the other headlines?
Thank
Let me
you.
check.
Suspect says, I knew my son was a kidnapper, but I thought he had stopped. Interesting. Right at the top in a new video, abducted Oyo principal begs government to negotiate with kidnappers, just like Mazino said. Right below, culture, colors, heritage dazzle at 2026 Ujoba Festival. I think is one of the conversation we'll have tomorrow as to, is this a good time to do that when we're having this whole
such somber,
kidnapping?
Do you want to go back do you want to go back and read that
yes,
early
so
headline?
the bag used to deliver ransom found in Syracuse Fulani's kitchen. You know, when
so the Syracuse Fulani is the recognized traditional leader, chief or head of the Fulani community within a specific town. A specific city or state in Nigeria, particularly in the southern and central regions. So it's drawing a connection between the Fulani leader and the abductions that are happening. Because
so basically found in his house.
Yeah, in his kitchen. So that means there's a connection there somehow.
Pardon me.
That's worrying. And of course, there are also calls from the Fulani group.
So it makes sense when they say the suspect says, I knew
Yeah,
My son was a kidnapper.
exactly.
You knew, did you report your son?
The big
You
question.
thought he had stopped. Because that's what I said, but I thought he had stopped. So he had stopped. That means, did he send the other people back home and took money?
Did he even call out? Did he submit himself?
Huh?
But there are calls from Fulani groups across Nigeria for the narrative of this American narrative that the Fulani community is responsible for.
I tell you, Nigeria is a blockbuster movie.
It is a very interesting movie.
Well, besides that, Osun APM affirms Makinde as 2027 presidential candidate. You find that on page 6. And ADC to Tinubu, your 30% approval rating reflects total failure. And dissociate yourself from presidential convention. Wike-backed PDP urges Jonathan. So FCT minister warns event centers, hotels against hosting unrecognized parties and will resist every attempt to intimidate us. Turkey-led PDP.
If it's not a specific party, scrutinize. Be careful who you let into your gates as a group or a political group.
God
that is
help
all
us.
he's saying. Nothing more. Be very, very
God help us.
critical.
Do we have another paper?
No, that's the last paper we're taking for this morning.
Okay.
Thank you very much. We're going to start our conversations real soon. Do stay with us. We hope we've given you the full gist for the front pages, everything that you expect to see this morning as you pick up a daily. Let's take a break and let's get ready for our very first conversation.
Yes.
And you're welcome. It's our very first conversation for a Saturday edition here for Breakfast Extra. And, well, let's begin. Now, for 3 years, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has argued that Nigeria is passing through what he calls a necessary phase of economic correction. From the removal of fuel subsidy to the floating of the naira, the administration insists the pain Nigerians are experiencing today is the price of avoiding a deeper national collapse tomorrow. The government says revenue to states has increased, debt servicing pressure has eased, and investor confidence is gradually returning. But for many Nigerians, the reality feels heavier than the promises. Inflation has remained stubborn. Food prices continue to rise. Transport costs, oh dear, they've changed lifestyles. Small businesses are struggling with energy costs and weak customer spending. While the government points to long-term gains, citizens are asking a simpler question. At what point does reform stop sounding theoretical and begin to feel practical?
So between policy ambition and public hardship lies the real conversation Nigeria must have. And joining us this morning to examine the Tinubu administration's 3 years in office are Oyetunde Ojo, APC chieftain and managing director of the Federal Housing Authority, who is presently here with us in the studio. And of course, we have Ikechukwu Amechi, who will be joining us live on Zoom, who is the managing director of the Niche newspaper. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Good morning.
Good morning.
But before we take this conversation, let's take a look at this package put together by our correspondent, Victor Mbadike.
Not the kind of visit I wanted.
As President Tinubu marks his third anniversary in office, attention once again shifts to Nigeria's persistent security challenges across multiple fronts. The figures tell a troubling story that has not gone away. Many Nigerians have continued to pay the ultimate price, while the promise to secure lives and property is still waiting to fully show up.
We have no choice but to turn this country into a nation of prosperity, unity. Fight our enemies together, not fight each other now.
It was impossible.
Sadly, even the much-discussed support from the United States has not translated into any noticeable difference on the ground.
We all know what it is. It's not like before. It's getting worse every day by day. Even right in front of people's house, they got kidnapped, and a lot is happening in the country right now.
Because most of these people that perpetrate these the crimes, they are not ghosts. People know them, especially when you go to the north. You hear of bandits moving in trucks and bikes, and people see them.
So it's very, very depressing. I don't think it has improved.
The staggering figures across almost all geopolitical zones lend credence to this reality. Over 2,000 persons reportedly killed nationwide, hundreds abducted across several states, thousands displaced from affected communities.
I'm making this video to ask for help from everyone, starting from the federal government of Nigeria.
This graphic representation summarizes the traumatic experiences these regions and communities had gone through since the last Democracy Day in 2025.
You guys did very well, is that clear? Yes, sir!
However, the military has carried out coordinated air and ground assaults under operations such as Operation Hardin-Kai, Operation Fansanyama, Operation Wall Stroke, and Operation Delta Save. These operations targeted Boko Haram, ISWAP, bandit camps, and kidnapping networks. Yet, the challenges persist as though they never left.
Right now, President Tinubu needs to ensure that our defense and security spending is well vetted. 1. 2, we have to ensure that our challenges are dealt with local solutions. We have to look at what can we utilize based on our unique peculiarities. The non-kinetic approaches should not be hinged on negotiating with bandits from a position of weakness. It should be from a position of strength. And lastly, non-kinetic approaches involves creation of jobs, provision of healthcare, and education in communities who do not have this.
All of this has to be financed, and that by the time you have put so much into that, you believe we'll spend so much. For as long as the problem is still there, what it consumes mainly is money, and some of it are expendables. There are things, once they spent, is spent.
The Nigerian police force, despite its efforts in maintaining law and order, continues to face criticism over its conduct.
The Nigerian police force cannot secure this nation alone. Security is a collective enterprise. We need the trust, cooperation, and the active partnership of the Nigerian people, and we are committed to handling it.
The alleged extrajudicial killing of a young man, Ogene Mene, in Delta State in April 2026, involving a dismissed police officer and others who were also relieved of their duties, has further deepened public distrust. Perhaps the real question is no longer when insecurity will end, but why it has become so deeply rooted that even with growing concerns, kidnapping now feels woven into daily life like a thriving enterprise. In Lagos, for News Central, Victor Mbadike.
Back. Now, that was a report put together by Mbadike here, Victor Mbadike here at News Central correspondent. Now, in the studio here with us, we have Mr. Oyetunde Ojo, and of course, he's an APC member and would like to ask specific questions regarding the past 3 years, insecurity in Nigeria, the economy, reform, and all of that. But first, let's come off of what we've just experienced from that package, which was mostly about insecurity. Coming into, you heard our conversation, myself and Queen. Queen, we were talking about the fact that you can't see these videos anymore. Tell us exactly what you were saying.
It's disturbing. Just even seeing one messes up your mind. So having to just watch that over and over again, even though it's part of your job, you just can't take it because it could have been anybody. It could have been anybody that you know. So having to just see that being recorded, it's very gruesome. I can't watch.
It's emotional. It's becoming an emotional, daily lived reality for you, even as a member of the press who has to daily see these kinds of things.
Exactly.
And that was one of the promises that the president gave, security. He talked about how after he's gotten into office, all this would be a thing of the past. It's 3 years down the line. We've got just less than a year to go. There's re-election happening. We are experiencing one of the worst times when it comes to insecurity in Nigeria. Communicating this has not become easy because the president himself hasn't addressed any of the opportunities that he got. So as an APC member, I'm wondering what your mark for the administration's efforts when it comes to insecurity would be today?
Yeah, thank you very much. Good morning, viewers at home. Good morning, you guys and ladies there. If you want me to mark on security situation of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, looking at the past where we were and at present, I'll give the president a 60%.
A 60%?
Yes, I'll tell you. I was a former member of National Assembly in the 7th Assembly 2011 to 2015. The then Chief of Defense Staff of Nigeria addressed us in a closed session in Abuja. That's at the National Assembly. You know what he told us? Since 1979 to 2013, Nigeria has not bought a gun. These are not things that started today. These were things that started during the PDP era. And when he told us in a closed session, thank God people are still alive today who are members of 2011 to 2015. Now, I traveled by road. I don't fly in this country. And there is no looks and crane of this country I don't know. Before, you cannot move in forest. Forest is a town, a small town going to Jos. Before, you cannot even move on Benin, Expressway Shagam. You can't move in Talatafara, Safi, Dange, Shokoto. As I'm putting up to you, Kaba, to Akorom, you cannot move before. I go by road. But right now, the military, even with motorbikes, checkpoint to checkpoint. Let me tell you one thing. Nigeria is a very big land mass. I'm so sorry to say this. This is happening to families. I feel their pains. The government has to be responsive. The last kidnapping in Oyo, Oriade local government, where it happened. It's the biggest local government in Oyo State. It goes straight, leading to Kishi, to the border town of Shaki. It goes on the right again, leading to Kayama. Kayama, boundaries, Bogun. Kayama is in Kwara. Bogun is in Niger. That's where you even have the high-generated power situation. Militaries are battling there every day. Oriade local government alone, for you to travel, that's the biggest local government, if I'm not mistaken, in Oyo State. For you to travel Oriade alone, that's where you have the reserve, you have the national park. Over 3 to 4 hours in one local government. I stand to be corrected here. Now, we are talking of 21st century, where people are using drones. But these people using drones at this 21st century, where were they 20, 30 years ago in combating their own security? Question must be asked.
Okay, Mr. Ojo. Mr. Ojo, we also have Mr. Amechi who's on with us online. Mr. Amechi, I was going to ask you a question, but I think at this point you might have questions for Mr. Ojo. Am I correct?
Well, it is sad that we are where we are today. It is also sad that members of the ADC government continue to reel out these figures as if we are not in the same Nigeria with them. When President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was in opposition, he pointedly told then President Goodluck Jonathan that any government that cannot protect the lives and property of the people has no reason being there in the first place. And I agreed with him, and I still agree today, because the primary responsibility of any government, as enshrined in the Constitution of Nigeria, is the protection of lives and property. Now, for anybody to claim that security is better today than it was 3 years ago, I think that is rather, I don't know the right word to use, but the fact of the matter is that it is not, by any stretch of the imagination, it is not. And it's not because if we take the Oyo State example that your guest there mentioned. Mazino, right now, we have a child of August who has been in the kidnappers' den for more than 2 weeks now. We have children kidnapped and their teachers, one of them, a mathematics teacher, was beheaded, and the video circulated. Yesterday, the principal of that school, Mrs. Alamu, did a heart-rendering video pleading for their lives because the terrorists have threatened that they were going to kill more people if the government fails to negotiate or pay the ransom they are asking for. And we claim to be a country. 2 days ago, May 27th, the government had the effrontery to say they were celebrating Children's Day. On a day, Nigerian children were marooned in the forest, and we can't do anything about it. And we claim we are a sovereign country, and we claim, look, we should all be ashamed of ourselves. And that's the truth of the matter.
Summarily, I'd like to ask you where you'd score the administration when it comes to insecurity.
I would be generous to even score this administration 20%.
Okay, let's keep it there. Let's keep it there. We will move on, and there's plenty to still talk about. Queen, you had a question, didn't you?
Well, I don't know, this conversation hits very hard in terms of, you've mentioned, I think based on what you said, you're talking about border security, how they're navigating from other borders into, different local government. And of course, Mr. Mishi is emphasizing that the security is getting worse because we're seeing videos of someone being beheaded. Now, moving away from insecurity to reforms, Nigerians are saying that economically it's sounding that everything is good on paper, but it feels like it's politically disconnected. So do you agree with that statement?
I disagree. Everything is getting better. That's why I rated this administration on 60%. I'll be honest here. A lot of people sit in their homes. They travel by air. They don't go by road. It was in the same country. During the PDP era, people will be crying no road. Now, as I speak to you, let me start from Abuja to Nasarawa. Nasarawa to the capital of Benue, Makurdi, to Otukpo, Otukpo to Obolafo. Obolafo, you are going into Enugu, Enugu to Owerri.
Has it become cheaper to travel these roads?
Yes, I'm telling you.
I beg to differ.
No, because there's a CNG.
How many?
No. I'm talking from experience. That's why I'm telling you that there are two issues here. Elitists talking and the people talking. This road.
Just a second.
I am telling you,
this touches close to home because Queen will tell you I'm a traveler. And I don't travel by air. I don't travel by road.
Where are you from?
I travel solo.
Where are you from?
I travel solo on a motorcycle.
I say, where are you from?
I'm from Delta State.
In Delta State, presently, I can tell you federal government and state government what's going on.
Let me tell you my lived reality.
Yes.
Riding a bike across the country before would cost you somewhere around 50,000 naira to get from one end to the other. Now, it costs me nothing less than 350,000 naira to actually do that, go and come, just my fuel alone. It's become much more expensive than maybe even paying for a bus. And do you want to ask those who go by bus? So if you're talking about the fact that there are roads, but to use these roads are...
No, please. Let's first start. Before, there was no road.
Now there
are roads.
Okay.
And these roads are done with the administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Not just roads. Concrete pavement road. My mother is from Bayelsa. I just came back from Warri. If you look at Warri, going Sapele to Ugeli to Oluku bypass. I'm not a stranger. My mom is from Bayelsa. I schooled in the north. Now, let's talk about the transport cost. There's a problem as we go now. Yes, subsidy was removed. State government had more money. That's why there's this connectivity of federal government now with state government.
That is true.
Going on in terms of a lot of things. Now, there's crisis going on as we speak between Iran and the Gulf states.
That adds.
Initially, you see, when the subsidy was removed, the petrol, all the things was to find this market. It was in this country we were buying SIM card for 100,000 naira. Immediately, many players came into this game. SIM card, as we speak to you, was known. Now, before the fight in Iran and US and the Gulf state, petrol was going 700 naira from 1,002. I stand to be corrected.
Yeah, I think it wasn't.
No, it was Dangote. No, it came to 720.
No, it didn't.
MRS filling station.
No.
MRS filling station, Ikeja. You have corn oil in Ikeja. I know what I'm saying.
I would really like to hear Mr. Amechi's input here. Mr. Amechi, economically speaking, yes, inflation is down. We've seen some of the reforms actually make things better statistically. But in our pockets, the lived realities of people says something different. What's your take on Mr. Ojo's submissions here just now regarding especially transportation cost?
Again, Mazino, I think it is sad that we are having this conversation this morning and we are hearing all these rationalizations, if I may describe it as such. And I think you asked Mr. Ojo a very good question. And that's a question that we ought to ask Nigerians. Tell me that Nigerian whose life is better today, or who is better off today than he was before May 29, 2023. Let the government go out there and conduct a poll. Look, the chairman of the Alliance for Economic Research and Ethics, Mr. Delo Ojo, of course, who used to be chairman of the organized private sector of Nigeria, recently lamented the unprecedented rise in public debt under President Bola Tinubu, noting that 65.9 trillion was borrowed by the administration in the last 24 months. And that amount is more than 5 times the total debt Nigeria incurred in the first 55 years of its independence. Now, government apologies come around to tell us the reforms, removal of subsidy, floating of the naira, and all that. Even if we agree, even if we say that these reforms were necessary, the removal of subsidy, even if, without conceding, but even if we say, okay, let us agree with the government that these reforms were necessary in the first place. Look, there are 195 countries that are members of the United Nations. 193 members, then there are 2 observers that have countries that have observer status, the Vatican City and the state of Palestine. Go and check. Almost 100% of these 195 countries of the UN, they give one kind of subsidy or the other from time to time. Even on this issue of energy subsidy, Mazino, go and check. 170 countries offer one kind of energy subsidy or the other. It is on record. The government knows that. So the issue was the subsidy. They say the issue was the corruption inherent in the way the subsidy was managed. That was the thing that needed to be tackled. Has the government tackled the corruption in NNPC? The answer is no. The government has not tackled the corruption in NNPC. NNPC operations is still as opaque as they have always been. Now, we have 130 million Nigerians in multi-dimensional poverty. And people are still there gaslighting us about the government doing miracles every day. How can you claim that this government is doing the impossible? Mazino, go and check. In 2023, while President Tinubu, then as the candidate of the APC, was running for this office, at a business launch in Lagos, and I'm going to quote President Tinubu, he said, whichever way, by all means necessary, you must have electricity and you will not pay for estimated billing anymore. A promise made will be a promise kept. If I don't keep the promise and I come back for second term, don't vote for me. That is the truth.
Mr. Michi, let me hold you there. Let me come to Mr. Ojo and see his and ask for his response from this. Mr. Ojo, that was a promise everybody has replayed on social media over and over again regarding this electricity situation in Nigeria. I can't wait to see what it is you have to say about that.
Oh, thank you very much. You see, I don't talk from the fact what I read in books. I schooled abroad in UK. I went to university in UK. I talk from facts and reality. Now, let's start with electricity. Before President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came to being as a president, electricity was under the exclusive list. That means you generate light in Lagos, you push it to Kanji. Kanji pushes to any state. Now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came in, deregularized it. States. This thing doesn't go in one day. Secondly, you have to go to the Act of Parliament. Act of Parliament might take 4, 5, 6 months. When President Bola Ahmed Tinubu brought the same idea in 1999, Aaron, the PDP government scuttled it. Lagos State ought to have not been where you are now in terms of power. Now, deregulations. A lot of things are going on. These are things that will not just take one day. Now that deregulation has been done, that means state government now has the powers. Individuals has the power to generate and transmit. These are multi-billion naira projects that cannot be single-handed by the government. Now, have you done a good framework? A better policy. President Tinubu has done that. Let's wait a short while. You know, I told you, Kanchi Dam, Jeba, Kayama is where the highest production of light is in Nigeria. And the military are fighting there every day against the bandit. That's what went straight to your passport.
Are we pushing the blame on the insecurity, the bandits there? I mean, now we're pushing the electricity crisis into an insecurity crisis.
My brother is part of it.
Okay, I do agree
because
with you,
somebody has held
absolute, on. Is it absolute?
He has about 40-50%. When that is your sub-power station in Nigeria. That's why I don't speak from book. I know all these places. That's why I'm saying it. Now, let's go on international passport. This President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration, you and I know before this administration that it takes you 3-4 weeks to get Nigerian passport. At the earliest, in some 3 states. Now, within 24 hours, you can get that. ASU strikes since Bola Ahmed Tinubu
I can get the passport in 4 days. I can get the passport in 4 days, but I can't use it.
No.
I can't pay for the airfare.
ASU strikes.
I'm not allowed in certain countries because of our reputation.
Since Bola Ahmed Tinubu came in. During my own time, I was sitting at home for months, for years.
Now
this
they sit at home for still months.
No strike. Tell me what university have had ASU strike for months. Tell me one school.
Mr. Ojo, I understand that you're trying to make us see the good part.
No.
We cannot take away from the good things that is happening. But my question now is, in the midst of these reforms, because President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had mentioned that he inherited dangerous foundations, which he's trying to fix.
It's even ICU. He inherited ICU.
Okay. So at what point, how long do you think the citizens will have to wait for us to see the change in low-cost living and, fixing an insecurity? Because you had mentioned that, of course, local governments have different borders from right, left, center. They can come from different states. So at what point are we going to see the change?
The change has started coming. Let me go to issue of rice. When President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came in, there was a significant inflation that local rice production, your own country producing rice, right went as far as 120,000. I go to the market. If you go to the market, a bag of rice December to date has not reached 60,000 in Lagos from 120,000. Now, let's go to issue of CNG transportation. You see, Nigerians as well, let's be honest with ourselves. A lot of buses now using CNG.
Not a lot, no.
No,
I'll check that out.
Let me tell you what happened.
I'll check
they
that
will
out
still charge you
the
petrol price. I go on public transport to Ibadan sometimes. I'll tell my driver to follow. They will charge you the same petrol price. This is Nigeria. We need to talk to ourselves. Citizens need to talk. Go to Ojota. Let them start opening their vehicles for you if they are using CNG or not. But they will charge you petrol price. Reality must be said. You see, we need a lot of investigative journalism here. So that the time we are bashing the government, we should also try to address to the people. You see, when somebody, as a citizen, is not also being honest to ourselves, people want to take every situation to make money. Port authority clearance now is done at due time. I was in business via head of public office. I knew how many days we used to sleep from my 2 to port authority to clear goods. Now go to port authority within 24 hours your goods is clear. 2017, 2018, 2019, it was a hell. Now the United Kingdom have said they are bringing in about 600 million pounds to expand our port. My sister, the UK I stayed, the UK I know, will not invest a dime in a country that is not looking healthy.
So, Mr. Ojo, you mentioned something.
Let's not forget Mr. Mechi is still online.
Oh, Mr. Mechi, I apologize. I'm just feeding off what he said.
We've lost the Mechi, okay.
You mentioned something about we need a lot of investigative reporting.
Yeah.
So I want to go back because between 2024 or 2023, 2024, Mazino, correct me, Nigerians have spent 22 trillion naira in paying to get their families back. So that is a lot of money in the past few years that we're spending. Would you say that the insecurity we're facing now is politically motivated because they don't like the reforms and how it's being handled?
Oh,
yeah.
Maybe even the economy.
Let me tell you, there is a problem. You see, all these things started from Libya, movement of small weapons like Chad, Niger, like I told you, a lot of porous, but I don't want to blame it on any politics or anything. I'm blaming those porous situation over the years in terms of the military training. Do you know one thing? We need to retrain our military. And that's what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is doing.
I agree.
Because you see, you have to go into some temperate areas. That's why America has bases all over. UK has bases all over. Do you know why they have all those bases? They train their soldiers towards that extinct area. Now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is putting a lot of money into defense. Let me now tell you something. You need to be very careful. The military can go into those kidnapping den in Oyo State and start shooting. It will kill the innocent. There are tactics. I read international politics and diplomacy. There are people who come around who try to say, government will look at the casualty and the fatality. So what will government do? Should we go in there and do the mass destruction, or what do we do? We are not coming from a weak point from government, but these people need to be tactically rescued.
Could you get that crux of the question again that you just asked, Mr. Ojo? What was that again?
Talking about if it was politically motivated in terms of the insecurity we're facing.
Yes, let's focus on that. Is it politically
motivated? You see, one of the things is this. This thing has been on. When APC got to power, they also said, probably during the time of PDP, these were politically motivated. Now, every Nigerian will keep saying it. But I am telling you about the root crisis and how President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is dealing with the issue.
Right.
He's the president.
Okay.
And he's doing a lot about all these issues.
So, Mr. Ojo, will you now say that, you've mentioned a lot of things, will you now say that the communication from the president's team is not doing a good job to convince Nigerians that work is being done? Well,
it depends. I'm also part of the team, because I hold a government position.
Okay.
And like I told you, all these things I've mentioned, Mr. Mazi cannot fault me. You see, there's one thing. You can bring government and sit at the high environment and roll around. So what I am saying, that cannot be faulted by you from Delta.
Okay.
So those people in, sorry, 1 minute I will soon. Those people.
Yes, we have to round up.
Okay.
Go ahead. Finish
Those people who are government officials, who are sit somewhere, maybe they don't go by road. Maybe they don't see things. Maybe the only thing they see is the airport that is being renovated in Ikeja. The Murtala Mohammed Airport is being renovated. I have hundred of things, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and that's why I keep telling anybody that let this party come and tell me their manifesto.
Okay, all right.
No manifesto till date. The only problem you have is Tinubu. Tell us what good you can do better than Tinubu.
Real quick. The president was asked his a statement about insecurity only on Wednesday, to which he made a reference to, I think, the holy books and sacrifices, and nowhere where it was written that banditry is. But we didn't get an answer to how the Oyo State kidnap situation would be attended to. It's 13 or 14 days, if I'm not mistaken, and these children, one of them 2 years old, are still in captivity. Exactly how does your president's administration intend to tackle this specific issue specifically?
You know, I've told you about the borders of that area. I've told you I'm a student of international relations and politics. Yes. I've told you about negotiation. I've told you about fertility and disaster.
Right. Yes.
You need to be careful. If you are a parent sitting here, you will not pray for the military to go in and start shooting. These kids will lose their life. So what will the government be doing? These are things I can't say on national television. But very shortly, you will get these people out. The government will get them. You are negotiating. Okay. You can even see
the government has resorted to negotiation.
Because there will be too much. Assuming your own child. Assuming your own child.
No,
I'm just telling you one of the processes.
Yes.
But if I was in the shoes, which I know Mr. President very well, Mr. President will not want a life to be lost. But in the situation that it has happened, the best thing, these are kids. They can't go and face fire.
Credit, Mr. Ojo, because you seem to be doing a better job than the president at responding to exactly what the situation is or how we intend to attend to it, because he gave us just anecdotes. You seem to be doing a better job. But now specifically, the principal asked, please negotiate so our lives are not at risk. Yeah. Has the presidency chosen negotiation as against force or force as against negotiation? It's a simple question.
No. You see, in this situation, day by day, minute by minute, second by second.
Right.
This is not something you just wake up one day. You will be getting briefings from the security services.
Right.
What is the next action? What are we going to do? What is
this?
It
changes according to the
situation. But like one thing any president should do, and I know President Bola Ahmed is about doing, is to make sure more casualties are not involved.
Okay. Right.
Yes, our gallant soldiers are ready to battle them, and they've been doing that. That's why they came down Oyo. But these are kids involved.
Right.
Do you want to go into a confrontational battle?
So Mr. Sorry.
Go ahead, please.
I just, one more thing. You mentioned again that you're also part of his communication team.
A swagger?
No. I'm the chairman of Federal Housing Authority and swagger.
Okay.
Southwest Agenda.
Southwest Agenda, please complete that.
For President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. That was the foremost group that started it. I'm the convener, Senator Dayo Adeyeye. The chairman Port Authority is the chairman of the group.
Can you just give us something we can hold on to? Because right now, I think all Nigerians need is hope. So what can you tell Nigerians in terms of the situation, insecurity, reforms, cost of living? What should they hold on to say, you know what, Mr. Ojo said this and we're going to hold on to it and see what happens for the next election, and hopefully the children who are in, the forest will come out?
Let me tell you, I've told you many things. No ASU strike, no fund fee is being paid. For the first time, fees are given to students. No ASU strike. We talked about international passport. We talked about Port Authority. We talked about cost of feeding. We talked about rice, staple food going down. We are talking about how electricity has now been deregulated.
Right.
So Nigerians have a lot of things. We are borrowing money, but they are using non-capital projects for infrastructure.
Okay.
And they are paying debt services.
Right.
We've talked about a lot of issues. Nigeria should keep it. We cannot go back. These are tough times.
Tough times in
That's why it is called renewed hope.
Right,
in the housing sector where I belong to, 1 minute.
Real quick.
As we speak today, 2,000 housing unit is already waiting for commission by Federal Ministry of Housing. 380 housing units is being waited by my own agency. Same in Abuja, 3,000.
Which agency is this?
No, you have the Ministry of Housing. My agency is Federal Housing Authority.
Right.
Now, Kano, about 350 houses. Now in Lagos, about 500 houses is being rated for commission. As I speak, 200 billion Murphy funds for construction. I am telling you, except from US and Dubai that have ice scrapers, Nigeria is the only country right now that construction is going. People are being employed by Delhi. So there's a lot, there is hope. They need to bring the president back for 2027.
Our aim here for Breakfast Extra is never to criticize, it's actually to clarify.
Oh, definitely.
I always say that. So, yes, thank you for answering these hard-hitting questions. You are the MD FHA. Any other relations to the president?
Well, there's no doubt I don't deny myself. He's my father-in-law. I don't need to add. That's it.
Well, thank you very much for your honest answer.
Thank you, Mr. Ojo, for, of course, answering these difficult questions, because Nigerians are, I don't know how, well, uneased, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Confused, and, you know, it's a painful season that we're all in. So thank you for joining us and having this conversation. And Mr. Ikechukwu Amechi, I don't know if you're still with us, but thank you for joining us and giving us your expertise, you know, reviews on the situation. We appreciate it. And yeah, I think that's it for this conversation. We'll keep watching, and then we hope that the children that have been kidnapped will come back home safely. We'll pray that they come back home safely. And please, we beg everyone, be safe out there. Let's go on a short break. When we return, we start the other conversation. Do stay with us. Welcome back. Now, as political activities slowly begin to gather momentum ahead of the next election cycle, attention is turning once again to the internal processes of Nigeria's political parties. Across the country, conversations around primaries, delegate influence, zoning arrangements, and internal democracy are returning to the forefront. This comes as smaller parties continue attempts to position themselves as alternatives within Nigeria's crowded political space. The African Democratic Congress, ADC, has in recent months witnessed renewed visibility as coalition talks and opposition realignments continue nationally. Questions have emerged around party structure, financing, ideological identity, and whether smaller parties can genuinely compete beyond social media conversations. At the same time, parties like the NDC are also attempting to build grassroots credibility while preparing aspirants and strengthening internal processes ahead of future contests.
So beyond the headlines and declarations lies a deeper issue about how political parties build trust, how they produce leadership, how they convince Nigerians they represent more than just election season ambitions. Joining us this morning are Oladimeji Fabiyi. He's the Deputy National Financial Secretary of the the ADC. Thank you very much for joining us, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning. We were going to have another guest join us from the NDC, but we only have you at this point. Hopefully, Mr. Chidi Okoye is going to join us in the course of this conversation. But while we have you, let's ask these very interesting questions Nigerians have been asking. Nigerians are talking about the fact that there are very many small parties these days, and they are only visible during elections. They're only visible on social media. So we were wondering, for your party, the ADC, what is the ADC doing differently to prove it is building a long-standing, stronger party with support not just on the elite stage, but also in the grassroots?
Well, thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. First and foremost, I'd like to say that it would be a disservice to the ADC for anyone to regard ADC as a smaller party, a party that has a national leadership recognized by INEC, a party that has the statistical structure in the 36th state of the federation, including FCT, a party that just concluded the congresses, now the primaries, and all that, and the party that has, you know, lots of individuals that have been in one office or the other that have served this country in the past and still doing that. So ADC is not a smaller party. If ADC were to be a smaller party, I don't think the APC will be running out of skelter, you know, struggling to destroy the party. So having said that, ADC is out. We are here, and we have presented ourselves to the populace, to the citizens of Nigeria, and they have seen what we can do. Initially, they said we can't get anywhere. 3 months, it will be dead. After that, they said 6 months, and today it is where we are. We just have to be serious now. We just have to be objective and be honest. So as we speak today, the party is going to field candidates in every offices, from president to the governor, to 109 senator, to 300 and something House of Reps, to almost 3,000 or 4,000, 3,000 plus citizens of assembly. And when it comes to local government election, we'll still participate and we're still going to win some. So that is enough to tell Nigerians that ADC is a serious party and we're here to partner with Nigerians. We're here to work with them. We're here to end their suffering. We're here to make them feel the sense being part of the entity called Nigeria. So that's what we're out for.
So, Mr. Fabi, let's just go straight to the point. You just mentioned that if ADC was not a strong party, the APC will not be shaking and moving around. Now, when the ADC was created, we saw a lot of powerhouse move and join the ADC. The coalition became a major conversation up until when we saw former presidential aspirant Peter Obi move to the NDC. Now, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has been given the presidential ticket. But we are seeing now that in the House, we're having talks of it was rigged, it's not right, coming from a coalition that was saying that we stand to make sure that Nigeria comes first, or the citizens is being treated first. How do you want us to look at this internal situation now?
Okay, thank you very much. I must commend you for this question. Number one is the fact that tell me any party now, including the APC, the ruling party, that after the primaries there are no issues. So I'm saying this to underscore the fact that there's no how you go into election and some people will not come out and say, oh, this is what happened, we're not satisfied with this. It's normal in politics. We have seen it in APC, we have seen it in ADC, we have seen it in PDP right now. A group said, oh, we have adopted former President Jonathan as our candidate. Another group said it's not true. So these are all the issues. Even smaller parties, the SDP, you saw what happened to the leadership recently. So even NDC, we're yet to see what is going to happen at the end of the day. But what I'm trying to say is the fact that it's not an issue, and don't let us make issue out of it. Now, the thing is, those who talked about, okay, this thing is being rigged in ADC, may have a genuine reason to say that, but it still does not mean that the party is not working on it. The party has mechanism to solving its internal issue, and ADC is not an exception. We have internal mechanism which you set all of these things. In the next couple of days, we are going to be saying what follows. So for me, we don't have any problem about that. Someone is hot and is genuine. The agitation is genuine, so we have to really give it to it. Mr. Fabi, okay, if you say someone like, just hold on, if you say someone, Governor Rotimi Amechi, says one or two things, is valid. Because from his own prisons, he must, that is the way he sees it, and he must say it out. Now, it's now left for the party to move into it, to use the internal mechanism to solve whatever it is. And I'm happy that the former vice president that has emerged as the presidential candidate has taken the initiative in line with the party's vision. Okay, but before that, there was consensus.
Before that, there was a consensus, and then after the primaries, we seem to be having these discrepancies. Now, you say that it's in every party, you have it here, there, and there, but does it make it the norm that there are internal rivalries in every party makes it okay for the ADC to also exhibit its own? Isn't that what we're looking for different? We're looking for a party that has internal structures that are strong so that we can rely on them and say, yes, this party has its act together. So you want to ask the big question now regarding the ADC, whether the biggest enemy is external pressure from other parties or internal rivalry. So which one is it?
See, whatever happens in any party, whatever happens after election doesn't make the party it doesn't make it a weaker party, or it's not a strong party. What I'm saying in essence is that as long as there is contest between 2 people or more, somebody who sees that he's losing or is going to lose will have something to say. This is exactly what I'm saying. It doesn't make ADC weak. So can we say because, okay, I just read somewhere yesterday that the APC has decided to cancel some primaries. It's in response to what people are saying. This is what I'm trying to let you understand. It's in response to what those who participated are saying. The party is responding to it, and I tell you, ADC will also respond to those who are agitated or who are dissatisfied, because there are mechanisms with which to settle this. And I said, in the next couple of days, we are going to be hearing more. So it's not an issue as far as I am concerned, because you see it everywhere. It happens everywhere, and doesn't make the party less stronger or less strong. That's what I'm trying to say.
So, Mr. Fabimi, of course, we know that when it comes to elections and politics, there's a lot of money and funding involved, and it's more like a major issue, especially for alternative parties or smaller parties per se. Now, how does a party like ADC compete against larger parties? I want to say that, based on who the presidential candidate is, would you say that ADC is ready in terms of funding for the elections for 2027?
I don't think it's all about funding. In 2015, President Goodluck Jonathan has everything. He has all the funds in this world as a sitting president. He has over 20-something governors in his kitty, in his party, but they lost. That's to tell you that it's not just about. If it was about funding, APC will not be in existence today. So it's usually not about. It's about what you do as a government, what you have done as a government to be able to let people feel you. And which is lacking in the APC right now. APC came into power because they felt PDP didn't do well. Nigerians agreed that PDP didn't do well at that time. And they pushed PDP out. And that's exactly what is going to happen now. It's not just about funding. It's about the people, what the people feel. People can ignore your money and still go ahead and do what they want to do. We've seen it happen in this country before. We've seen it happen at the subnational, where the incumbent governor lost. Upon all the money, all the resources at the disposal. So it's just not about the money. It's about your ability as a party to convince the people, to let them see what you are bringing new, how you want to take care of their welfare, those basic needs they need. Are you able to convince them? Are you able to tell them that, see, this party in government has not done well. They have told us they will fix this. Have they fixed it? This is the conversation. Most times, these are the things that make people decide what they want to do. It's really not about. I'm not saying funding, finance or money is not part of it, but it's not the only thing that determines where election goes. And most times, yes, this government, the government of Tinubu, as how do you call it? They are weaponized poverty. People are hungry. Any little money like this turns them on, and they do what they are not supposed to. But Nigerians are wiser now, because we are going to tell them that money that they are going to give you will not even last you for 1 day or 2 days. So you need to think twice. You need to wise up. This is what they do. They really weaponize poverty, so that when they bring all these crops, you take it and say vote for them, don't vote for them. We are getting to that point where we are going to be engaging and having this conversation with Nigerians in real time, good, in real sense.
Mr. Fabi, who does money not turn on? Hey.
Well, that's exactly what I just mentioned. I just said it too.
Even you and I, it turns us on. But let's talk about ideology now. Now, we all had a firm grasp on the ideology of the ADC, especially when we had Peter Obi in there. But after he left, people might say that they're a bit lost on exactly what the ideology is. So if you can, please do articulate for us what the current ideology of the ADC is. How harmonious is that ideology within the party?
Sorry, are you telling me that Peter Obi was the ideology of the ADC when it was the ADC? Is that what you are saying?
I disagree with you. Okay, let's hear your disagreement then.
Peter Obi was never the symbol of ideology of ADC. Please take that away from this conversation. Peter Obi came in as a member of the coalition. The coalition came in for a purpose, and the purpose, there was an objective, and the objective was, let us come together to rescue this country. That was the purpose. Then he left, and he should tell Nigerians why he left at some point. So we're not even bothered about that, because he has left. He lets him go and face his political future wherever he goes. We don't have any problem with that. But don't come and tell me that because Peter Obi was in it, that was why. No. It has no. So since he left, have we not been going on doing our program? Since he left, have we not conducted our primary election? Don't we have candidates in March? So please don't let us even go there. Now, the truth of the matter is that every party has its own unique selling point. And for us in the ADC, the first thing that first came to our mind is things cannot continue like this. In ADC, things cannot continue. Let us find a way to rescue this country. Let all the opposition elements come together and rescue this country. In the next couple of days, We are going to be launching our manifestos. Okay. We are going to release it to the public to see. We have a policy document that will be clear enough to tell everybody what we want to do. We are concerned about the welfare of Nigerians. We are concerned about what is next for them. How do we secure them? How do we fund education? How do we fight insecurity? How do we build our economy to the point that Nigerians will be okay? So how do we stop people might live in our country and going outside the country to go and look for a job? How do we handle citizenship? So a lot of things. So it will come out in our policy document in the next couple of days when it's launched. So just give us that benefit of the doubt. When it's out, go through it and then criticize us on what we are planning to do for Nigerians. But the first thing first is that we need to rescue this country. And how do we rescue it? Is for every opposition element to come together. And some felt, no, we can't be here. We all know why Peter Obi left, so I don't want to go through that, into that anymore.
I want to take you on something you said regarding Peter Obi not being the center for the ideology. Well, that in itself tells you something. Do note, perception far outweighs structure. No matter how you want to look at it, you can put out all your structure inside of your foundation. But what people perceive is what they perceive. What they see or what they seem to think of it is what they seem to think of it. If Peter Obi was not at the center of the ideology of the ADC, then why does his name serve as a lens to that ideology itself? The obedient movement was practically named after him. So you challenged me, and here I am challenging you back on that. Why did it seem that he was that lens to which the people saw the coalition?
There's something I always talk about the media. In as much as I have tremendous respect for you, there are times that you jump into issues you don't even have idea about. You are not part of the internal structure, internal activities of the party. So you can't know it more than those of us who are inside. Okay. So, and I'm telling you, put it to you straight now that you don't even know how it works. What I'm saying is that Peter Obi was not the center. Now he has gone to NDC. What have they come up with now? I'm asking you, what have they come up with? So don't. This is what you people are creating. That is not what is on ground. Whether it's perception, whether it's structure, both of them has the role they play in all of these things. People can choose to accept or to agree or to see things from the prism they see it. But I'm telling you that Peter Obi was never the center of ideology of whether obedient. Are there no articulate? Are there no Kakwansia? Are there not people who are supporting Amici?
Perception, once again. How is the articulate movement? I don't understand what that means. How is the okay? Let's defend the articulate movement. Let's defend the articulate movement now. What is the perception of the people? How deep does that perception go, grassroots, or even social media? Tell us. And I'm not holding forth for any political personality.
That's what it seems like.
I'm trying to clarify here. I'm trying to clarify here.
That's what it seems to me. That's what it seems to me.
Mr. Fabi.
That's what it seems to me.
Mr. Fabi, I think in terms of media, I just want to ask, most times media feed off of what we get. For example, like we talked earlier, having all this political heavyweight come together to create a coalition only for them to, disagree, to agree and move to another party. You could agree that the media is also confused. And, most times, like you said, media is not in your internal decision. So it's what you give us. And most times what you give us and we report in few weeks and in few months, it changes. So it's not like we're trying to create a perception. Most times it's the information that is being passed from the party that we feed off. So now in this situation, you've mentioned that Peter Obi is not the center of the ADC and he has moved to the NDC. And you're assuring, just give us an assurance or give us something the Nigerians can hold on to say, you know what, ADC is the party that I want to focus on.
This is the ideology.
This is the ideology that I want to focus on for 2027.
It's a platform now for you. Tell us.
The truth is that I've mentioned it here. As I've mentioned it earlier ago, maybe you didn't listen to me. I told you something, right? When you talk about ideology, to my understanding is what the party stands for. And I told you, first, we are concerned about the welfare of the Nigerian people. I mentioned it earlier, that this is what we are, and because if you take the welfare of Nigerian people away, there's nothing left. And under this, there are so many other things that are enshrined in all of this, that are encapsulated in all of this. And I told that everything is now in written form in our policy document. Let me give you an instance. Now, look at the global index, terrorism global index as we speak today. we have discussed, we have told Nigerians how in that document, how we are going to tackle it different from what the way the APC is handling it. And what do? You can't fight terrorism in isolation. Look at the Terrorism Global Index. Nigeria is number 4, number 5, ranked number 4, number 5 in the world. Now, we are concerned about all of this. All the number 1 to 4 are our neighbors. So how do you fight terrorism? That is the missing gap with this current government. And we said, we are going to ensure that those our neighbors are brought back and we fight this together. We talked about it. We talked about phased subsidy. If Mr. President just woke up one day, that's on the economy, he said, I'm removing subsidy without even thinking through about it. And we said, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to face it. We want to take care of the poor. Why we want to protect the rich, we must be able to promote the poor too, to come up. We talked about all that in the area of economy. It's going to be phased approach to subsidy removal. We are not going to do it like they did their own. So these are some of the things we have discussed. It's all of them boils down to the welfare of the Nigerian people.
Welfare.
Their security, their well-being, and everything. This is what we are looking at. So if you say ADC is a welfareist party, all well and good. If you tell that the ADC is a party that just want to fight insecurity, all well and good. But what we need to do, what we are doing is, we have seen the lacuna, we have seen the missing gap with the current leadership.
So, Mr. Fabi, finally,
to fix it. And we're going to fix all of those things.
All right, great. Finally, let's just say, as we move towards 2027 and Nigerians are watching, whether perception or structure, what should Nigerians be looking out for that they can see and know that this party is not just about elections, it's about governance itself? What indicators should Nigerians be watching out for?
We're not in government yet, and that's why we are striving to be in power to be able to take care, to be able to address most of the teething challenges. Now, for me, let us look at what the current leadership have done. Can you give them pass mark that they have done well? When you are hungry every day, when your people are being killed every day, are you okay with it? No. The education is going down the drain. Is it okay with us? No. Look at the budget. How can a government budget trillions of naira for defense, and the percentage that was released is less than 7%? How do you want to fight insecurity? I said you have spent so much money on defense. Look, all of these things are the ones we are going to take care of. Mm-hmm. Look at the pump price oil, fuel pump price today. These are issues. These are serious issues. These are basic issues. We don't want to talk about things that affect Nigerians. Mm. This is what ADC stands for, and these are the things we are going to address. Okay. You can't travel by road now and not be afraid of your life. You can a lot of things, and that's why I'm sorry, and I pity the northern governors that their people are being killed every day and they are still clapping for this government. It's a shame. It's a shame.
Well, Mr. Fabi, thank you so much for joining us and having this conversation. You've mentioned some areas that the ADC want to focus, and I hope that the people in the APC are listening, since there are areas they are not focusing on, and Nigerians are also paying attention for the 2027 election.
And once again, the reason for our very, very tough questions is not to put down the ADC. We strive to clarify here on Breakfast Extra. So thank you for answering every single question that we've asked you. Thank you very so much.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Grand. Now let's take a break. We'll be back, and hopefully the producers will give us some time to
breathe.
Don't
suffocate us.
Welcome again. It's time for our third conversation here on Breakfast Extra for a Saturday, a rainy one in Lagos. Now, across several parts of Nigeria, insecurity continues to evolve in both scale and sophistication, from insurgency in the north, east to banditry, kidnapping, and also attacks on rural communities. Security concerns remain one of the defining realities of national life here in Nigeria. In recent months, fresh concerns have emerged around renewed emergence of activities linked to ISWAP, particularly around the Lake Chad region and surrounding corridors. Security analysts say the nature of terrorism itself is changing. Armed groups are increasingly using technology for surveillance and also for recruitment. They're using propaganda. They're using tactical conditions and coordination, drones, encrypted communication platforms, online radicalization, and improved digital intelligence methods are becoming rampant. For Nigerians, the story is, well, what they get at home. Insecurity runs rife and it affects their daily livings. Food prices are going up because transportation cannot get from one end of the country to the other. So the questions that are to be asked is, when will Nigeria stop being affected by the many issues that it is starved with currently when it comes to insecurity?
Yeah. So this conversation now is not simply about whether Nigeria is fighting insecurity, but whether the nature of the threat is evolving faster than the national response. Joining us this morning are Saluddin Hashim, who is a counter-terrorism consultant, and Oberaifo Udo, who's a Pan-African strategist. I hope I did not pronounce your name wrongly. I apologize.
I think you got it right. You're from that. You're from that side of town, aren't you,
am.
Queen? It would be a shame if you got it wrong, Queen. Mr. Oberaifo, please. Thank you very much.
Good morning.
She got it right, didn't she?
Oberaifo Udo.
There you go.
Oberaifo Udo, yes. Shame on you. See, I got
Yes.
it. I got it. Thank you for joining us, gentlemen. Let me start with Mr. Hashim. Mr. Hashim, from your assessment.
Oh, I think we lost Mr. Hashim. We're going to get back to him, but let's begin with Mr. Udo. Mr. Udo, let's talk about the current situation in Nigeria. Where Nigeria finds itself regarding the situation, and I want you to answer from a Pan-Africanist standpoint here. Would you say that Nigeria is dealing with a localized security problem or an international one, as we've also seen the efforts of international bodies join in this war? What exactly is it, local or international?
First, good morning, everyone, and it's a pleasure to be here today. Before I start, I answer your question, I want to sympathize with my fellow Nigerians, our children who are presently languishing in unknown locations in the wild during this wet season, and I can only imagine what they are going through right now. The children definitely will hardly recover from this trauma in their life. You see, the security challenge we are facing as a nation is both local and international. There is a connivance between the international and the local. You see, a few days ago, President Tinubu was asked a question, and he was asked if what he thought about the security situation in Nigeria, and he responded by saying that insecurity is the obedience of love. And so many people did not understand what he meant, and they said the president was, talking gibberish. As a matter of fact, I think the president was correct, but that statement is very, very deep. Deep in the sense that the obedience of love in this case means it's coming from a set of ideologies. Ideologies are belief systems and values that make a person to act or take decisions, not thinking about the consequential or the effects of such decision at that point in time. Just like Christianity is an ideology, a belief system in Christ, Boko Haramism, Islam, as the case may be, there are ideologies that make people believe, take up a gun, I'll take a gun and kill this person, and I will go to Ajana or wherever. I'm fighting for Allah and all kinds of things. So that is what the obedience of love that he was talking about. That's why he made reference to the fact that a child was replaced with an animal, referring to Abraham and Isaac. The child was replaced with an animal, and that is an obedience of love, which is the sacrifice that was supposed to be done on Isaac. An animal was used to replace that by Abraham. Obedience of love. You see, these guys that are causing this havoc across Nigeria, it's very obvious. The facts are there that it's not a localized matter. But however, the insecurity is now local. Therefore, we must apply local solutions to solve it. 2 weeks ago, I had a conversation with some of my people, my kinsmen, way back in Edo State in my ancestral home, and they were making a lot of arrangements, and they reached out to their prominent sons and daughters across Nigeria to fund or support. We try in a bid to raise some sort of a security fund to support local security initiatives, and I think that is the way to go. For a long time, I have been one of those people proposing or promoting or, advocating for a state police and regional governance, because that is the only way to go. I see no reason why. Yes, state police and regional governance. And I was happy when in 2024, I saw that there was a bill being passed about regional governance and also state police. And I was shocked to see Nigerians fighting that. Honestly speaking, it's not because President Tinubu's tenure, I would say, have not been the best, yeah. And from a Pan-Africanist point of view, I feel as Africans, our solutions must come from us. We must be the one to prefer solutions and act on them to solve our own problems. Bringing USA to come and partner with Nigeria or setting up a base in Nigeria was a no-no by this administration. I never expected that to happen.
Good, yes, good, Mr. Odo. Yes. We have Dr. Salahuddin back.
Yes.
Queen, please.
Dr. Hashim, thank you for joining us again. Based on your work and your assessment, how significantly has ISWAP evolved in terms of their operations in the last 2 years or 3 years?
Yeah, I mean, very fundamental. These guys have become extremely sophisticated. They coordinate extremely, and of course, because of the consequence of the intervention in Libya, that is exactly what the Sahel is suffering. Unfortunately for us as a country, the consequence of regionally being placed below the Sahel is one of the biggest challenge that we have, because Nigeria currently is saddled between two axes of evil. One is the Sahel, and the second is the Gulf of Guinea. And we know too well that currently in the Sahel, there are a lot of coordinated efforts of various terrorist groups, the Islamic Maghreb, the Tuaregs, ISWAP, ISIS, all of these groups, the Ansaru, Lakurawa, and all of that are operating in this particular region. And this is because of years of neglect and abandonment in this particular region. And again, there is a mix of international support, international military support, I beg your pardon, that has also been introduced into that region. There is also that conspiracy theory component that suggests that there are international communities that are also supporting a certain section of some terrorist organizations to be able to help weaken governance in some West African countries. And you know too well that sustaining some of these groups are not in itself continuum. So over a period of time, once you abandon them, they tend to find alternative to their own self-survival. And that in itself has actually informed the way and manner these guys have become very sophisticated. So with that kind of international support and, of course, the kind of intervention that has happened in Libya, these guys have access to sophisticated weapons, communication, gadgets, high definition equipment that can help them to communicate, to do intelligence surveillance, and sometimes they do reconnaissance, just to be able to help them have a more coordinated and structured attack. And if you see them very lately, that one is that they have been able to understand the place of coordination and collaboration, which is one of the reasons why they understand the psychology of our own security architecture, that coordination is a problem. So they are doing that a whole lot, and they are coordinating amongst themselves. The second thing they do very well is that they understand the place of communication, that in modern security response, communication is actually at the backbone, and that is why you see in developed climes the incident numbers that you can contact in the event of any emergencies. I mean, we don't have it here. What we have are proliferation of emergency contacts that sometimes in a different jurisdiction when you want to reach out. But these guys understand that if you see most of their videos, you see them highly equipped with walkie-talkies, and this is because they understand the place of communication, and of course how they access some of these devices and how they are sold in the open market is one thing that we need to further pay attention to. Most importantly is the inflow of foreign fighters. Our borderlines are entirely porous. This we know all the while. But it also speaks to the poverty of intelligence coordination and collaboration that we have. Customs, immigrations. In fact, immigration has the mandate to regulate aliens. They have a mandate on alien control. But unfortunately, this is not the case. In fact, we have seen instances where access to various border communities, immigration officers are only setting up checkpoints to collect money from people who are passing by, and they set out everybody, take some amount from them, and they let them go. These are some of the consequences of the actions that we are seeing in our own current situation. So yes, there is a heavy presence of ISWAP, and then of course the recent elimination of MINOC has also pointed in that direction. What we need to do basically is to do additional profiling. Basically, maybe that is the reason why the collaboration with the US is very strategic. How we can do sophisticated intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, and penetrate some of these groups to be able to understand how they work, how they operate, and of course understand the psychology behind their operation. But one thing we are not doing well is that intelligence is very poor in terms of our response capability. We are not doing that sufficiently, and even when we pick intelligence, our response and processing of that intelligence has also significantly been very poor. In most of the incidences that we have picked up, you realize that there has been some level of intelligence days before those things happen. But of course, who acts on that intelligence? You have active intelligence, you have human intelligence, and you have intelligence that should be action-oriented. But to be very honest, I think, again, this is actually where governance also has failed Nigerians, because if governance indeed is at its peak, the constitution, which is the classical norm, is very clear.
Dr. Hashim, I will come back to you on governance. Let's put a pin in it. Trust us, we'll come back there. But I wanted to ask Mr. Udo here, because there are certain things that you stated. And as a strategist himself, I'm wondering whether he notes that, well, we obviously have a more than battlefield type situation here when it comes to the war against insurgency in Nigeria. It's how did you put it that time? Intelligence ecosystem problem, Dr. Salahuddin. That's what you referred to it as. So let's go on a break now, Mr. Udo. When we come back, I want you to give us, well, how should the army, how should the Nigerian government adjust to this intelligence ecosystem problem that we seem to have over what it's used to, which is the battleground ecosystem. Yeah. We'll be back after this break, gentlemen. Do stay with us, and viewers, let's go on that break. Welcome back, and along with that, welcome back Salahuddin Hashim, doctor, and of course Mr. Obere for Udo for this conversation we've been having on insecurity in Nigeria. And before we left, I was asking Mr. Udo regarding the situation Nigeria finds itself and how it should adapt to the, once again, intelligence ecosystem problem that Nigeria seems to have, as way different from the battleground instances that the military is used to. What strategies do you propose, Mr. Udo?
Firstly, I disagree with my colleague here who have said that there are some conspiracy theories as regards international interference. I totally disagree with that, because it's on record that the USA have a base in Nigeria, and when the president tweeted and spoke about intervening in Nigeria's security situation, he said they were going to share intelligence with Nigeria. And that is what we expect, that high level of intelligence with our security operatives. But since the US increased its footprint in Nigeria, security situation has worsened significantly, just like we said, before. The sudden escalation of is not an accident. As far as I'm concerned, it's looking like the 2014 script. Imagine on the, February 14, 174 women and children were kidnapped from the Uru community in Kwara State. They are still missing. 400 women and children taken from Mungushe community in Borno State. They are still missing to date. May 15, 32 children and teachers from Ogbomosho. We have the US here with all the intelligence. Till date, they are still missing. 40 toddlers were kidnapped on the 15th near Musa Chibok in Borno. Till date, they are still missing with all the intelligence. 10 children and women taken from Monarch's Place in Yashikira, Kwara State. They are still missing. On May 12th, this is very important. The Nigerian military recovered over 400 Starlink internet routers from bandits in this same Nigeria. I want to tell you that Starlink is an international internet connectivity system. And if truly people are asking the questions, how can we track all these guys that are on TikTok, these bandits and all of that? How do you expect the Nigerian military to do it when we don't have access control over Starlink? We don't have access over control over it. So they are on the internet, they are tapped, they are connected to international networks, which we cannot tap or we cannot even have data or control over. And they are doing all sorts, communicating and not even using Nigerian SIM cards, calling each other, So at the end of the day, somebody is telling me that there is no international, it's a lie, it's a very, very big lie. I disagree with that. However, the solution as it stands is that every single Nigerian in the 90s, during the time of Abacha, something happened in my community. I grew up partly in Ekpoma. There's a place locality called Ikokobo. There was serious issue of insecurity, armed robbery as at then, and kidnapping. And what did we do? Which I think is the model that we now have to, because as it stands now, Nigeria is surrounded. In fact, the only place they have not gone to is Lagos. Lagos and maybe some parts of South. They've surrounded the whole of everybody, everywhere. The only thing we can do, because I keep telling people, security is everybody's responsibility. It's not just the government. It's me and you. We must work together, both with the security operatives, to make sure that we solve these issues. And how can we go address this going forward? One, as a people, if it's possible, which is similar to the CJTF trainings Edo State I saw our people doing in Edo State. Every single locality, we have about 8,000 plus wards or 9,000 plus wards across Nigeria. Each ward, we should pick people and they should be paid. And these people should be combing the bushes non-stop. They should, from ward to ward, they should be combing the bushes non-stop. I see no how, there's no way if we do that. Those of us in the cities, in the diaspora, we must support all of this in our local community. It's a local matter. And when we do this, when they continue to comb the bushes from time to time, they are taking it in turns. When this set leaves today, the next set goes tomorrow. As they are leaving, another set goes in. And it continues for the next 1 year. And they are being paid to do this. I want to know how bandits will enter these bushes, cross one community to another, and come to the city or villages and kidnap their people. Because before you cross those places, if this community don't... yes.
We have to also speak with Mr. Salahuddin on this.
Yes,
so yeah.
Mr. Salahuddin, before I come to you, Mr. Odo, you mentioned something in terms of, you said we have the US base here, and since their feet became very prominent, insecurity increased. You mentioned Starlink, yes. You mentioned the SIM card. So now where's the disconnect? Are you saying that the reason why we have this insecurity is because we have more US presence, or the US presence brought the insecurity? I want you to clarify that, and I also want Mr. Hashim to comment on that.
Insecurity has been a thing in Nigeria, and should I proceed?
Yeah, proceed, but summarily, if you can keep it short.
Insecurity has been a serious issue in Nigeria, but you see, a lot of people are not paying attention to what is going on in the world presently. Over 100 years ago, or let me say, presently, all the 100 years plus agreements, the colonial agreements are expiring, and the world is changing. Empires are redrawing their maps, and agreements, negotiations are going on. AI is coming, and AI, to be able to power the next world, they need lithium, they need solid minerals, they need water for data centers. And to be able to get these areas, these places where all of these resources are, the persons influencing this insecurity, which we already know because the information is there, it's online, it's everywhere. It's not a conspiracy theory. If you go and do your research, you see it. The countries and people behind all of this, they are the one sponsoring or pushing this insecurity. And I must say, the government in question of Nigeria have in the past, if you pay attention, have in the past few months, they've been trying to sort of break out or break away from the sort of US-UK arrangement that they've been having, and trying to partner with China, Russia to still find a solution to this. And that is just because we can't be on our own. We can't tell them go, because we know what they can do. But however, it's on record that since the US came to Nigeria, till date, the insecurity situation has worsened. It means The US, and I am one of those who always say that nobody can come and solve our problem for us. Only us as Nigerians, as Africans, must solve our problem. We don't need America, we don't need whatever.
We've run out of time and really need Dr. Hashim's input here. Dr. Hashim, Mr. Uda has referred or inferred that there are geopolitical agreements or situations or conspiracies that might also be fueling the Nigerian instance. There might also be points that you want to point at from his response to your input from before. Please go ahead, sir. Dr. Salahuddin, if you can hear us, you're frozen. We're going to give it a couple of seconds. We're going to give it a couple of seconds. Hopefully we get your response. Let's see if we still have Dr. Salahuddin. I know he heard our question. He was about to answer there. So if you can hear me once again, please confirm that you're with us. Dr. Salahuddin, if you can hear us, if you can put off your video, we would only get sound and that would be stronger. Oh dear.
Wow.
Very unfortunate, because I really wanted him to come back with a response, especially regarding your comments, Mr. Uda. Maybe we will definitely have him on another time so that we can have his response to that. But sad, but we have to say our thank yous for joining us for the conversation, Mr. Obere, for Udo and Dr. Salahuddin Hashim.
Thank you.
It's so bad. I really wanted to talk more with Dr. Hashim, but thank you very much. Oh, Dr. Hashim, we hear you're back. Dr. Hashim, you were about to respond. Please go ahead and respond real quick before we close on this conversation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I think my colleague would need to do a little bit of a mix of some nuances in the public space with active practitioners' perspective, and of course bring in some classroom rendition, because again I think it is important to understand some of the places of international politics and stakeholder in the counterterrorism operations. Most importantly, he disagreed but went further in his rendition to further collaborate or corroborate some of those issues. But I think the idea of pointing at the U.S. in this subject matter does not arise in any way, which we should be very circumspect in trying to push. But one of the fundamental things that I believe we need to do, first of all, we have the National Security Strategy. That document, for the first time, is a document that actually pushes for the whole of society and the whole of government approach in trying to deal with the issue of insecurity. That document is less than 7% implemented. Why is it so? Because people believe that the kinetic approach is better than the non-kinetic approach, and because of the political economy that comes with it. So it is really nothing other than the political economy. So it is very important that we need to further interrogate that. And the government needs to be very deliberate in putting the whole of government, because that document actually situates response with all the agencies of government, because governance, you cannot divorce governance with the issue of security. And that is why we think all of the ungoverned spaces where these guys operate. If you check how sophisticated they respond, and their target lately had actually been large-scale targets. There had been government-owned base. There had been military-owned base. The idea behind all of these things is also to communicate a number of approaches that suggest superiority. And of course, you know how they also use propaganda to deal with all of this. And like I mentioned earlier, how they have also deployed technology. The question is, what are we putting in to match what these guys are also putting on the table? And the international conspiracies that I mentioned borders around how some of these groups in the Sahel have been supported at one point or the other to be able to attack some state or weaken governance in some state. But because they have been abandoned, then they find their way into Nigeria, and that in itself suggests how all of this mix is actually happening. The collaboration between the US and Nigeria currently is going on very well, and extremely very well, I must say. And then, of course, because I am an active practitioner, I can tell you to a large extent, even the elimination of minor wouldn't have been possible without the intelligence and surveillance that the US had brought. And then, of course, some of the recent equipment for surveillance that had been introduced and brought and donated by this government, we cannot really wish them away. Everybody who is very interested must know that. Lately, he talked about the issue of state police. I mean, I have reservation with it, but I like state policing and not state police. State policing is the whole of society, and then of course aggregating all the policing effort. State police is actually going to duplicate the impunity that we currently have across 37 jurisdictions. And it is very important that we know that governors who have not been able to pay salaries for 12 to 19 months, and you give them state police, how would they manage it? Governors who have manipulated state independent electoral commission in their own state, any governor that belongs to a political party wins all the political party in the state, and then you give them state police. So you need to be able to understand the psychology of our political elite at state level to be able to understand whether or not they can manage state police.
Dr. Hashim, I do beg your pardon once again, but you have elaborated more on the issues we started discussing on Wednesday. I want to say thank you for coming on Breakfast Extra to do that, and thank you to Mr. Oberai for Udo for also coming and giving us his own comments on the matter. Thank you very much, gentlemen. We'll have to close on that here now.
Yes, and move on to the next conversation. Of course, this conversation is wide, but we appreciate both of you joining us. So let's go on a short break. When we return, we have other conversations before we round up Breakfast Extra for Saturday. Welcome back. Trust me, you don't want to know what's happening behind the scenes and inside my ear with my producers. But today we're talking about chips.
Potatoes.
Today marks the International Day of Potato, a crop many still underestimate despite its growing importance in global food systems. Across several parts of the world, potatoes remain one of the most consumed and economically valuable crops because they mature relatively quickly, adapt to different climates, and support both households, nutrition, and commercial agriculture. In Nigeria, conversations around food security often focus heavily on rice, cassava, and maize. Yet, agricultural experts say potatoes may represent one of the country's overlooked opportunities, especially for small-scale farmers. Beyond direct consumption, potatoes support processing industries, create jobs across storage and transportation chains, and offer income opportunities for farming communities. However, challenges remain. Poor storage systems, limited access to improved seedlings, transport losses, insecurity in farming regions, and inconsistent policy support continue to affect productivity.
So as Africa searches for smarter and more sustainable food solutions, the potato conversation is becoming bigger and agriculture alone, bigger than agriculture alone. So joining us this morning for our conversation, African farmer himself, Mogaji, is in the studio with us, a farmer and food security expert. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
So let's talk about Solarum tuberosum. I say potato, you say potato. I'm a botanist, by the way. So let's talk about potatoes. What is Nigeria missing when it comes to the economical value of potatoes?
I think it's actually valuing the crop as a food security crop. One, because it's a resilient crop. It doesn't really need a lot of fertile soils. Then it grows in every state of Nigeria, can be produced commercially, and can replace many of the crops that we process and we bring into the country. And it's also a short production. It has a short production cycle. So if we don't have enough rain, it does well. If we have too much rain, in every state, there are locations where we can produce and produce commercially and feed ourselves.
So why don't we know this? Why are we not producing in mass scale for export even?
So we know this. It's just we've not just paid attention to this. I grew up in Oyo State, and I known how research has been going on. If you go to our research institutes, they have everything we need. Everything we need. Some even make potato milk, name it. We've not just had that right policy to drive the crop. We've had policies talking about cocoa, cashew, shea butter, but the ones that we can use and take care of ourselves, nah, we've not done that. We need to pay attention.
So would you say for Nigerians, because I know now they're hearing potato, they are thinking, how do we do business? Would you say for young Nigerians now, potato farming business is viable for them?
Yeah, potato business is very viable. However, you need to understand the dynamics. There's dynamics to everything. Sometime last year, the prices of tomatoes really dipped low. You know, people were selling like 70% lower. And it's just a function that nobody was adding value. everybody went into production because the prices went to about 26,000 per bag. Typical Nigerian, everybody now wants to make money. So everybody went into production. People didn't really go into distribution. So in the farms, it became very cheap. In fact, many of them rotted away. But they did not take it to the urban center or close to last mile consumers and estates.
That brings in another question now. The ancillary structures that are around potato farming in Nigeria, how viable are they? We don't have transportation for one. That's a big problem. But of course, you do say that this can be planted anywhere in the country. We're not taking advantage of that. There's also a deficit in storage methods. Do people even know? Are they aware of these methods? Your famous chips, the one in the cylindrical, what's it called?
Yeah.
We import those.
Oh, yes.
So we're not even processing ourselves. So are these failures on the part of government that people don't know that these are little advantages they could take of this crop? Or is it an educational problem at the end of the day?
It's fundamentally an education problem and an awareness problem.
It's not a policy one.
No, it's partly government and like 20% government, where government needs to create more awareness. I always say this, our government has under-leveraged media in this country when it comes to food security awareness. We can talk about everything, but bringing media, deliberately bringing media into agriculture, we've not done that. But it's 80% private sector awareness. We're not deliberate in looking for opportunities. The moment we begin to be deliberate in looking for opportunities, we will find opportunities. For about 5 years, every year I go twice. I go to a West African country, spend 10 days looking for opportunities, and I find. So when I do my trainings and I'm amplifying that, people seem to find, how did you get it? I went out. So it's the private sector in Nigeria. Private sector in Nigeria depends too much on government. And elsewhere in the world, it is government that depends on private sector. Bring out the innovation, then go and sell it to government.
Right.
Unfortunately, the Nigeria's private sector mostly, not in all cases, don't know how to sell ideas and projects to government. They go and pitch profit to government. Government is not interested in profit. Government is interested in impact and sustainability. So when you are pitching to government, you first pitch impact, the number of jobs that will be created, how many people will be fed, import substitute. When you pitch that, you want to make profit, but they go with profit. So the people who will push it to policymakers kill it there.
Mr. Mogaji, you will remember this, but she won't. In the 1980s, there was this program
Tell
on
me,
NTA.
because I'm just a baby. I'm just a baby. Tell me.
In the 1980s, there was this program on the NTA called Food Basket. It was driven by the government to try and get people's attention back into agriculture because there was a structural adjustment program that was ongoing. And of course, Nigerians were looking for what to do. So they said agriculture. How did they do it? They used the media to focus people's attention on agriculture.
Right.
So when you say it's a lack of private push, and I'm thinking it's a lack of policies, a lack of the government's efforts to make the populace aware that you can actually do this from this large cash crop that we have in Nigeria. So I think it's the other way around.
So New Central was set up because of a vacuum that was identified, in spite of many other television stations. So we need private sector to see this opportunity and also come in and identify it. Your platform is neutral, so I can come and bring my knowledge interfacing with government and private sector because you want the truth out always. So there's a vacuum for private sector to identify and move ahead to do it. My job is to educate, provide the information like I'm doing here. Your job is to provide the platforms I think News Central even needs to have a program.
I want to host that.
Excuse
as
me.
the botanist in the house,
I'm
I
a
take
chef.
dibs on that show.
I am a chef. But
As long as it makes me travel across Nigeria.
Mr. Mogaji, the last time we had a conversation, we were talking about eggs.
Yes.
And we're lamenting the amount of money that was budgeted, bringing in the Chinese and all the infrastructure. And we talked about the damage in terms of local farmers.
Yes.
And, I asked you when you came in, I'm like, what's the update with our eggs? And you laughed and you say, we're still waiting. So now let's add to that list of what were the opportunities we're telling the government that is there. What opportunities are available for them to see? Because it feels like most times the government are focusing on oil and gas and basic things.
Or just simply growing and selling.
Growing and selling.
While there are other things around.
Exactly. Explain to us then. I think I just wanted to find out. Eating chips with the back peeled, which is best?
Oh my goodness.
So first and first, any crop you eat with the peel, you get the better nutrition.
There you go.
Including yam. Okay, yam is
Includes watermelons, yams. If you grew up, I didn't grow up in the village, but my dad had a big farm in the village. So when we go there, they don't peel the yams. They will cut it into big chunks, bring banana leaves on it and steam it up. And that's how you cook it. You retain the nutrients at the back in it. And you now scrape it off with palm oil.
Let's have a bonfire.
So bottom line is, any food you consume, in the US, when you're taking mashed potatoes, they don't really peel the back. They steam it up together. Sure. Any food you steam up with the back, you get better nutrition. With regards to, let me say this, many people don't know this. When you say poundo yam, there's a majority of what we consume is sweet potato.
No.
So,
shut the front door.
That's what I said it.
For real.
That's the truth. But they're not doing anything illegal. Like if you go to, I was in the US some time ago, and after spending 14 days, I wanted a local dish. And I saw this, like a restaurant, and I went to take this long queue waiting.
For Nigerian food?
And it was written yams. So I was like, yams. Finally. I waited for about 25 minutes, got the takeaway, got to my hotel, took off my shirt,
so
and I'm like,
ready for this.
I'm ready for it. And when it was sweet potato, I was angry. I took it back, and it was yams. In the US,
it's considered
they call sweet potato yams. If you go to Walmart, all those places is yams. So the regulation Nigeria is using, copy and paste from US, which says a percentage of yams.
Oh,
so no. So when you see it as yams, yam pounds, and all those things, it is primarily sweet potato. So sweet potato is actually improving in terms of commercialization and usage, but we've not leveraged it for the alcoholic beverages. We've not leveraged it for starch. Most of the pharmaceuticals use starch. In fact, in outside the country, there's the purple sweet potato.
Yes.
When the purple component in it contains anti-aging things. So it's extracted and skincare.
So we've not.
So there's so much. No, so it helps with the skin. There's a vitamin A, the orange, which is good for the eyes, the ears. Nigeria is facing huge malnutrition. So we need to also embrace this vitamin A orange flesh potatoes. We've not leveraged potatoes. It matures in about 4 months. It's something all of us need, especially with petrol prices going up, that Nigeria has no control over because it's international. So bottom line is sweet potato is something that we need to embrace as a people now. And there are many factories, most of your capsules need sweet potato. In fact, most of the premium bread makers have said that they prefer the puree paste made from sweet potato. It cuts their production cost by 18 to 22 or 23%. So we need.
Mr. Mogaji, I'm enjoying this because
of course you are. It's about food.
Before we go back to the opportunities that the government need, let's go on a quick advert break, and when we come back, we'll round up this conversation. Just stay with us. Welcome back. Of course, you could see that my cheeks are blushing. We're talking about food. Before we went on the break, we're talking about potatoes and the difference between sweet potato and how we've not...
That was during the break. We're talking about that during the break.
During the break.
You got carried away, but you were going to say...
It was enjoyable. So before we went on the break, yes, we're talking about sweet potato and Irish potato. And I was asking, how can the government come into this? What are the opportunities that they have?
The opportunities are enormous, huge. You know, currently we still do about 4 million metric tons. We can do 7, that's what is projected. China does about 70 million metric tons. It's huge. And everything, the pharmaceutical, the cosmetic, the alcohol.
Alcohol.
Yeah, beer.
That's your interest.
How does that work?
Animal feed. Animal feed. You see, egg is expensive because of the cost of feed. Cattle, pigs, they're all expensive. So sweet potato can be a major replacement of source of energy.
Oh.
We have not embraced. In fact, potato generally, you know, even organic potato. And when in Nigeria, most of the sweet potatoes we grow, they're organic.
Yes.
If you talk about the Irish potato, I was in India some time ago exploring opportunities also. And I saw that the potatoes they use for organic potatoes, is even the Irish potato is a special variety, premium. So we've not explored it. When people talk about preservation, let's do preservation.
How much research goes into potatoes in Nigeria?
You will be amazed.
To make them perhaps maybe last longer, grow bigger. Not GMO now, because I'm
we've not,
against GMO.
Nigeria has no business with GMO.
So we have so many strains that we could...
Not touch the surface
of many crops. How much more? GMO is expensive.
So are we doing much our own way?
The Nigeria Root and Tuber Research Institute in Omodike, and they have substations with IIT and co. If you get to these places, you will be amazed at the research. In fact, they have different varieties, ones that are better during the rainy season. They have varieties that are disease resistant. They have varieties that are better for starch. They have varieties.
So, Mr. Mogaji, why I asked this question is, if we have these institutions that are set in place to help us maximize the production or yield from potatoes, why are we not seeing that transfer into real-time production and taking advantage of the crop?
The mandate they have is to research.
And then?
Nigerians have not come to the understanding that you go to the research institute, get something from them, collaborate with them, and scale.
Well, isn't it the research institute's responsibility to also make its research known? Yes, they publish.
Oh yeah,
further than
everything is online, it's published, but we're not funding them enough to take it to the next level.
So who's not funding them? It's the government.
It's the government. But hold on.
Now we're back here.
In developed countries, it's not government that does everything. The CSR, corporate social responsibilities of MSMEs and SMEs, the big companies, go there because they import alternatives.
So
they are supposed to identify
a solution,
a local solution and scale. But what I would blame government for, and I use the word blame, is that government has not enforced policies on the multinationals to backward integrate, which is part of the agreement when they are setting up. They don't backward integrate until they begin to hold them by the jugular to say, this is in the policy in our agreement, fix it. They won't do it. Under President Obasanjo, when you talk about cassava, it was on the jugular of many of the companies, and they began to impute about 30% of cassava, starch, and flour into the things they were doing.
That, true.
One particular noodle company created a noodle for it. Last year, I think about 2 years ago, that company, now one of the biggest in the country, now went to set up a cassava processing flour factory, extracting starch and flour from cassava to make noodles. So, and it's policy.
So while we can't wait for the government because they're slow at their feet, small businesses, farmers like yourself, how can they take advantage of this crop?
So first and foremost, every government oversight is private sector and small a medium-scale opportunity.
Right.
So let government be, neglecting it. It favors SMEs. I always say this, out of every adversity comes a greater or equal opportunity, provided we can see it. So if for small scale, I've tried to do many things, okay? And I just discovered that, you can embrace all opportunities. So I've just stayed with corn and cassava and happy to talk about every other thing. So it's for us as a people to be deliberate in looking for opportunities, either to supply cassava, to supply sweet potato, or to grow it. I tell you, when it's like April, the potato farmers look for vines because you only grow it mostly by vines, the leaves. They look for it. People need to begin to grow those vines to come out at those premium periods. Guess what? In every state of this nation, you have river basins that have irrigation. So you can grow it there. When it comes down, you are doing about 300 to 400% profit margins to raise capital. And that's why I'm saying NYSC, we need to push these things to NYSC because they're in all the villages, in quotes to them, stranded, but there are opportunities. They have at least 3 to 5 hours a day they can use. So
apply to farming.
It's just coordination. The missing gap in Nigeria is coordination.
Right.
The moment we begin to coordinate better, and it has nothing to do with the Federal Ministry of Agri.
What about, yeah, I was coming there. What about, so for these small businesses, what access to monies, to loans, to aid, to help them?
So you see, I have developed competence not to focus on government, but collaborate with government.
Right.
I look for what government wants. So you tell them about what they want and get leverage. If you're looking for money, many people go to government to look for money. You won't get it because even though they budgeted the money, you will hear 10 billion, 100 billion. The process for the money to come out may be 8 months, 1 year. That is how government, the checks and balances is there. But the private sector, we've not learned how to pitch to people like you who have savings. To be able to say, you want to make money, I have time. Can we collaborate?
Right.
That is what we're not really doing, and that's what we really need to do. So that by the time government comes, we need to understand something about government. Government comes to always amplify. They don't start anything with you. So when you are going to do it and you are informing them, carrying them along, writing them reports, at the time when they come in, they just scale you up. Boom. That's what government does.
So for somebody who's watching and for Mazino that has savings, how much minimum do you think an individual will need if you say, you know what, I want to invest in this?
So I won't put a particular figure because it differs from local government to local government, state to state. Anybody close to urban centers, Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, the state capitals will be able to sell more, but production costs will be higher because labor will be more expensive.
Yes.
But there will be demand more than supply. So, but it's go to the research institute, Buzz Online, these things are there, but it's just get a coach or get a mentor.
Right.
Somebody that will be responding to you, but I'm going after NYSC guys now because because they're in every local government. So if you can coordinate them together, we'll make food available and cheaper. And this year, we must make food available, affordable, and accessible at all times.
I wish we could say here to the future Minister of Agriculture here sitting down with us. Well, let's hope that you even want to do so. But thank you very much, Farmer Mogaji, for actually. I thought we'd just be singing potato. But here we are going in depth into the economy of
for all our colleagues that have wrinkles, yay to purple sweet potatoes.
What? Oh, okay. In any case, let's say thank you to the great Farmer Mogaji for actually being with us.
Always a pleasure.
Such detail into something so simple, which many people don't know about. Always a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for having
eggs,
me
potatoes,
again.
potatoes.
Always.
It's all grand.
Chips and fries.
Let's take a short break. We'll be back to say our goodbyes, perhaps with another short conversation right here on Breakfast Xtra. Welcome back. Final conversation here for Breakfast Xtra. Now, for centuries, the Kano Durbar has stood as more than ceremony. It's culture, its identity, its power, it's also history, moving through the streets on horseback. But this year, security concerns and deepening tensions with Kano's emirship structure have forced authorities to suspend the procession traditionally associated with Eid celebrations. At the end of the situation are the parallel realities surrounding Emir Muhammadu Sanusi II and Emir Aminu Bayero, both maintaining separate royal positions amid continuing legal and political disputes over the Kano Emirate. Now, police authorities say the suspension was necessary to prevent public safety, or rather preserve public safety and prevent possible unrest. Yet, for many residents, the development reflects something deeper about power symbolism and the fragile balance between traditional and politics in Kano. We have News Central correspondent Stephen Enoch joining us, and also joining us from Kano, we also have Mr. Safian Bichi joining us for this conversation. We're almost out of time, so we're going to speed right into this. Enoch, please, if you'll give us an overview of the situation, how it started, where it's at now after the events that transpired.
So yesterday, what happened was that we were trying to get across to the Kano State Government House from the palace of the Emir Sanusi. So there's a road called State Road. It is the easiest access road that you can take to the government house. So when we got to the intersection that leads to his house, we saw that there was a roadblock there. We saw policemen there and other security officials. So we took our right. We went through another area. We saw that security operatives had blocked the area as well. We took different routes. About 3 to 4 different access routes were blocked. So we had to do like almost a 180-degree turn. We went towards another gate that led into the Kano State Government House. So when we got to the Kano State Government House, Emir Sanusi, when he was speaking, he was received by the Kano State governor. When he was speaking, he said that he wasn't happy about the fact that the Durbar was cancelled and the fact that we had to take so many turns round to enter the government house. And he said that he's been undermined and the government in Kano has been undermined. And he advised the Kano State government to show the people who are undermining government that there is a government in Kano State. He said many things. He said the reason why he's not taking some action is because he wants to just preserve peace and tranquility and to avoid an escalation of the issue in Kano State right now, because you know how things can be. And he also said he's not afraid of anyone. He just, the fact is that he's keeping quiet is because he doesn't want to, start talking, and you know what talking means. So, those were the things that happened, and later in the evening, Emir Sanusi Bayero also entertained his followers to a music fest. Yeah, so while the activity was going on in Emir Bayero's palace, people were happy, enjoying, dancing. But in the other place, it was just it was just dry.
So Enoch, everything went fine after that. There were no instances of violence or anything, was there?
Yes, everything went on fine. There was no incident of violence or clash.
All right, then.
So, Mr. Beecher, let's talk about this suspension of the Durbar. What's your take on it in terms of, both the Emir Sanusi and Emir Bayero created visible, decided not to do the Durbar, but it feels like this has created a divided traditional space in Kano. What's your take on this?
Thank you very much. You see, this is not a new thing in Kano because it has to do with politics regarding the windows opportunities provided by the sons of the Emirate. I believe it will come to pass by a court resolution or by the governor after the court rules, depending upon how the court rules. It is a minor irritation that provides some entertainment to the masses who have been punished by severe poverty, unleashed by politicians in power, that people are suffering, cannot be the commercial center. But at least the division or having two separate activities. You see, from what Lucy is saying, the governor, the house is occupying now as an area.
Mr. Bichi, can you hear me?
Mr. Bichi, can you hear you? Okay. All right, Mr. Bichi, can you do us a favor? Can you turn off your video so we can have just audio? It seems to be interfering.
Okay.
Then continue.
Okay, sorry.
Yes, good. Continue.
I show the video.
Oh, no, now it's perfect. Please continue. Now it's okay. Continue.
Okay, what I'm trying to tell you is that the house, environment is fine now. It's adjacent to Kano Government House. It's also along what Enoch have just said, along the state road, which is the road that is linking the Kano City and the Government House. So you can't go to Government House as part of traditional position, if you call it Hawa Nasarawa, without passing through where the Aminu is now residing as one area also. So what I was trying to portray is that this is something of politics that the politicians causing, and thinking that it will come to an end when Governor Abba joined APC. But unfortunately, it is also deteriorated. So it's even beyond their thinking, it's beyond what they call even politics. Despite the fact the politicians are causing, but it's beyond their thinking. And then having two areas is not something, because if you look at the staff of office that the two areas now are holding, despite the original one belongs to ISWAP, but it was showing a symbol of then it's far back history. There were two areas that were twins. They became area. At the end, when they all died, all the staff were marched together to the country by a mass. So this is not something new, but to be frank and sincere, now it's even crossing border, thinking that everybody is thinking that way Abba goes back to APC. But number one is this emirship also will be resolved, but unfortunately it's not yet resolved.
Mr. Bishi, let's take note that this cancellation has affected the tourism potential for Kano. It's also affected local commercial activities. It's also affected identity of the community itself. So I'm wondering what else you could pinpoint at and say on a broader scale is the consequence of its suspension in Kano. What more could we look at? Because it's not just away from the politics and all of that. What else are being affected? And what's the consequence for Kano as a city?
So wherever there is anything that has to that attraction that is authoritative, there is economic implication. And unfortunately, not only the economic implication, even the investor friendliness Kano now is getting eroded. Before you find many foreigners from different parts of the world coming to Kano to Eid Durbar, but unfortunately now nobody is happy about it. Nobody is secure in terms of security. Look at from April to date, there has been many deaths that has to do with political. But even this political is now also linked to the emirate issue. And remember, the emirate procession, the Durbar, is normally show the traditional weaponry and whatever we have. So the youth or the politicians can also use that in carrying out the marches, the sticks, the sword and whatever. They can disguise the sword. So the security issue is affected. The economic situation, because Kano is an economic entity. In fact, we have been called center of commerce, but unfortunately, the suspension carry both direct and indirect economic costs.
Yes, indeed, it
revenue
does.
which is a loss, business experience, lose patronage, many people. Because you find out that millions of people will gather, witness the Durbar, and many impact. At least something that you can even eat is there. So the small, the petty traders that are selling water, bottled water,
yes, Mr.
snacks,
Bichi. Yes, Mr. Bichi, there's always that opportunity for intercultural transference for tourists, whether you're from there or from outside. Mr. Bichi, unfortunately, we have only 5 minutes left inside of the hour. That means we have to shut down the show for today. But thank you very much for joining us to talk about this instance from Kano. We'll always come to you for more of these interesting conversations. Thank you very much, sir. And thank you to our News Central correspondent, Isaac, for also trying to join us, or rather for joining us from initially. And that's it for us here from Breakfast Extra for a Saturday edition. It's been one grand one, especially that conversation about potato, chips, or whatever you want to call
fries.
it. We promise to be back tomorrow morning and have more conversation. So make sure you're here as well. And she's going to be doing the monologue. It's going to be fantastic. Until then.
And there'll be strips tomorrow. Yay!
Goodbye and thank you for watching.
See you tomorrow.